You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting right here in Northport, Florida. And it is, I hope, absolutely gorgeous down there. I'm actually sitting in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio today, and I am flying back home this evening. So I can't wait to jump on the plane. But my granddaughters get me for another 3 hours before I have to go to the airport. So I'm super excited about that. But I've got a very special guest in the house, first time ever on the show. I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell us exactly what he does for the city of Northport. So, take it away, Stefan.
Hey, John. Thanks for having me on the show. My name is Stefan Kalev, and I am the new Natural Resources Division Manager with the City of Northport. And you sure are missing some beautiful weather right now. So I'm sure that you're looking into getting back and enjoying the beautiful Florida weather. But yeah, we are a new division. Established roughly 2 months ago, and currently we are a team of six, soon to be seven. And the mission of our work is to be stewards for the city of Northport for the management, preservation, and uh, taking good care of our natural resources when possible. Um, Again, we are a new team. There, we have just had our office set up here at the City Hall building, and we're thrilled to be starting something that's new, exciting, and we're sure that will make a difference for our community.
What's the importance of having a natural resource division in a city, our size? I mean, we're one of the fastest growing cities in the nation. First off, second off, we're about a third of the way built out, so we have a lot more build to happen here. But what's the importance of a natural resource division in your mind?
Yeah, as you said, we are rapidly developing, and that brings many consequences to our community. We see our cities changing. A lot of the natural resources, unfortunately, are disappearing. The habitat is getting fragmented, which creates numerous challenges for some of our species, wildlife, and of course, it affects our community in so many ways. So one of the reasons for why we're here is to come up with a more balanced way to develop our community, and when possible, to be able to preserve some of these resources for our present and future generations to enjoy. And just as an example, we've already had a couple of instances where we were able to step in as a new division and preserve, uh, encourage, and work with the developers to preserve some areas. Um, and this is, in my opinion, a small step, but if you replicate this step many, many times, you have impact that can actually offset this constant growth that we are experiencing right now. So, in a nutshell, that's why we're here. And we have many goals and priorities, and I'd love to tell you more about them.
Absolutely, and kind of go over the staff right now, and give names and what their role is going to be at least 2 weeks in to the project.
Yeah, sure. So, I am the manager again, Stefan Kalev. I oversee the program. And then we also have our environmental planner. Her name is Liz Blessing, and she is already participating with proposals for future development. And she has substantial background in the field, and she works with developers to ideally make um, areas and development of some of these areas occur in a more balanced way um, at the planning stage. And John, I think I lost you.
Nope, no, you're good. Keep
You're
going.
there?
Yep,
Okay, okay.
I just put you on the
My
main
screen
screen.
changed.
Yep. Yeah, you get the single view sometimes
Okay, okay.
because
Good to know. Good to
you're
know.
giving great insight. So I want people to see you clearly.
But yeah, thank you. So what Liz will be responsible is to work on projects at the planning early stage and be able to provide comments before we even have the site plans of the proposed development. She will be visiting the sites, meeting with consultants on site, even before this, so to say, rough drawing stage of a project takes place. And this will help to ideally avoid valuable or highly valuable natural resources early on, if possible. And then she's fantastic. She has some education background as well, so she will be engaged in several education programs within the community, and there will be a lot more for her to do as well. But this is for our environmental planner. Then we have two new environmental specialists who will take the environmental review process to the next level. Um, they have their backgrounds in this field and they will be visiting the sites in addition to our arborists to ensure that each site is carefully looked at, and they will be also working with our builders and developers to um, preserve, when possible, both trees or listed species or simply habitat. Um, then we have our two arborists, and they have been with the city for over 2 years now, and they are quite experienced. But previously, they've worked under the code enforcement umbrella, and now they will be a part of this team. And uh, one more position that we are excited about, and we have not filled yet, is the urban forester. And the urban forester will be working a lot towards uh, our tree canopy assessment work, our city comprehensive uh, tree planting plan, and he will also be quite involved with projects at a planning, at the early planning stage. But the urban forester, as the name implies, will be dealing with strictly trees. So I would say this is a summary of our team and some of their basic roles. There is a lot more that each one of them or us will be involved with, but I would say that's a summary.
So I do have a quick question from Robin,
Okay.
and that is, what is the title environmental specialist? What does that mean? What's the meaning behind that? Can you give kind of a definition?
Yeah, absolutely. So this would be someone who is quite experienced in the environmental field, and they have a profound understanding of how our habitat, especially here in Florida, functions. And based on their training and experience, they will be able to make some sound decisions on a specialist level. In some cases, if you have, let's say, someone who just moved to Florida, and if they walk through an undeveloped area, they will see things a certain way. They will see the environment in a certain way. But I would say an environmental specialist, through their experience, through their training, in our case, both of our specialists have went to school and they've been living in this area for quite some time, and they've dealt with our native flora and fauna. They will be able to tell you more than the average person, so to speak.
Awesome. So with the relationships that I'm sure that you guys are bringing in with dealing with the natural resource side of things, how does that partnership up with the builders and how they perceive uh, this new department in the city? How is that going to work kind of hand in glove together?
Great question. So our role is to regulate in order to for the process to meet our land development codes and comp plan. However, we look at it as more of a um, process where we work with each other. So our goal is to get to know our developers, to see what they um, see about this process. We are here to listen to them, we're here to work with them, and we also want to educate them as well on what we know. Now, I like to I would like to say that we should work as a team because we understand that the city of Northport is going to develop. Development brings many, many positives to our community. We understand that very well. And we want to be a part of this process. We're not here to say no. However, we want to take a closer look, and if there are cases where natural resources can be preserved, we would like to see ideally efforts from our developers to do so. Currently, there are financial incentives for them to do so, but we also want to educate them on a personal level and to explain what are some of the other benefits of doing this and for our community as a whole. So far we have wonderful relationship, but we want to even take it to the next level. We want to get to know them better, and we want to see if there's anything that we're missing based on their standpoint and their perspective, as they are an important economic driver to our community, and we understand that.
So you're not necessarily here to prevent the growth of the city, but kind of work together with the builders to enhance the natural resource side of Northport. Is that correct?
That's the goal, and in a nutshell, yes. And we don't want to stop development, but we want to make development more balanced. And currently, we are working on um, revising our universal land development codes, um, and we believe that this will provide additional incentives for all of us to be more balanced in this development approach. So, yes, that's correct.
So I've got a lengthy question. Do you see your screen well, Stefan?
I do, yeah, I
Can
do.
you? I'm gonna. You know I've got an issue today because I lost my contact lens. So my reading skills are never perfect. But guess what? They're even worse today. But I've got a lengthy question from Robin. If you could read it and then go ahead and answer it, that'd be great.
Would you like me to read the question as
Yes,
well?
please, please.
Okay, sorry. A lot of questions from citizens asking who would they contact regarding a wildlife issue, such as developers, contractors, excavating, and/or clearing of lots that contain protected species. Are you working with code enforcement and the Northport Police Department? This is an excellent question, and one minor accomplishment so far for our team is to create a simple um, one point of communication via email to our new division. We check it daily, and we do work with in partnership with our code enforcement. We haven't really had an issue that would involve the Northport Police Department. However, if need be, that can also happen. And this email mentioned it is natural resources at northportfl.gov, or you can simply call the Development Services uh, main number and request to speak with our natural resources uh, team or a representative. But um, we want to encourage our citizens to reach out to us um, if they are not sure about an issue. Please give us a call, and we will be able to provide guidance or connect you to the appropriate other agency or department if need be. But as um, this email so far, we have received several emails, and we will get back to you. And if we think that it's an urgent issue, we will act on it as soon as possible. Once
So,
again, natural resources at northportfl.gov.
and if there is a situation like that, is that a manned email that comes to your phone so you read it right away, or is that so it could be an after hours type thing? So after 5 o'clock, it's still being watched.
After hours, if it's an urgent, I would say if it's an urgent issue that involves the safety of of the public, uh, probably best would be to reach to the Northport Police Department. Um, these emails, I receive them, and a few of my coworkers do as well. However, there's no guarantee that we will read them immediately. Me personally, when I go home, I try to spend good quality time with family, and I don't necessarily check my work phone all the time. But the next business day, we will be able to follow up. And here I would like to also highly recommend for concerned citizens, if there's wildlife involved, to reach out to the Florida Fish and Wildlife. They have a hotline, and they have officers who, from my understanding, will be able to get dispatched rather quickly. So if there's an emergency, I would recommend for citizens to either call the police department or the Florida Fish and Wildlife.
So I see where she's going with it, and I understand what you just said because I've done some things with Florida Wild Fish and Wildlife,
Yeah,
as far as like saving a manatee and in a rescue scenario. So
absolutely,
with
absolutely.
with with those types of things that happen out there, do you see this department as a department that will make an adjustment later for after hour type calls. Um, you know, the department itself being only a couple weeks old, you guys are still trying to get up and running. First off, so you're
That's
not
right.
coming in, you're not trying to, you know, conquer the world, so to speak. But you are trying to address these issues.
Absolutely. These are important issues, and we have seen instances where things are done during the weekend or after hours, and in part that's on purpose or entirely. And at this point, I am I am careful with what I will what we're promising and what we will be committed towards. But I believe that there's some room for improvement there, especially with technology, and uh, it's something that we can certainly consider in the future.
And,
It's a
and
great
so
question.
it is a great question, and Robin is definitely 100% on board with one having the department, but two advancing these issues because I feel like she's dealt with some of this stuff in the past, and in fact I believe 100% she has, but we have got to look at a lot of different things as the department itself develops, right? But the
That's right.
resources, the manpower, and the crafting of the department itself, you're just kind of in the infancy stage of structuring it here. Are we following a diagram from any other city, or are we building this template on our own?
There are already some guidelines from our department's director and city management team, but uh, I would say we are developing a division that is tailored to our city's unique needs. Thankfully, our team, we have, in my opinion, significant experience working for local entities in this part of the state, and we're able to sort of cherry pick what we think will work best for this community. So, in part, we have some guidelines, but we are creating something that's fairly unique and we think will work best for our community.
So, as you're as a director, the manager of the department itself, the how are you looking at things of a matter of importance? What are like your top 4 or 5 things that you really want to hone in on that your team really wants to get an like a grasp on for the city?
Yeah, great question. So there are a few items that are high on the priority list. We want to procure a tree canopy assessment software that will provide data to understand what our canopy actually looks like right now. Um, I have my scientific background, science background, and I know that in order for an issue to be addressed, it should be understood first. And this this study will really help us understand where we are in terms of coverage. There's a lot of uh, impact in the past from Hurricane Ian. Development is ongoing. Certain areas are being cleared faster than others. Certain areas have been damaged due to these high wind effects from Ian or other storm systems. So, a first goal is to really have this study in place and be able to see what's there and also correlate that data with some of the data that we already have about our community. That's a key one. Another one, we want to have a lot conservation program um, established and running by the end of the year, where we as a city invest our tree fund resources towards acquiring and preserving lots, private lots in their natural state. And then a huge one will be to engage with different stakeholders and really learn more about the problems that we have and try to come up with ways to address these problems one by one. Um, and finally, last but not least, education. We really want to step up the education efforts of our team, where we don't only improve how we regulate, but also to proactively educate all of our stakeholders, including developers, builders, even realtors, because we find that the the intent of the code does not necessarily get to our, especially some of our new residents.
So you've got some really hot topics at the beginning, but I want to go back to the first one you talked about, which was the tree canopy.
Right.
How important is the tree canopy for our city, and why should people be paying attention to that?
In my opinion, it's extremely important for any city, and we as a community, we are fortunate to still have ample of trees. However, with this development process, we see a huge change throughout the city. So there's there are numerous benefits of this healthy tree canopy, starting from um, overall the cooling effects by reducing the heat island effect, protection in so many ways, soil stabilization, and of course for our well-being as citizens and our community. So, with that being said, it's it's uh, it's it's a top priority. It's essential for us to be able to find more ways to preserve some of the trees. Now, within the city, we have the majority of our land is platted privately owned property, and these owners have the right to develop.
Yep.
However, we want to find that um, balance where development does not necessarily clear cut the entire property. When possible, we believe that some of the trees can be saved, and as you multiply this action multiple times, you have the cumulative effect on our canopy. Um, so there's a lot that can be done, and not only as part of our Universal Land Development Code changes, but also as for reaching out to stakeholders and incentivizing some habitat preservation.
So Robin has another question in there, but I'll give
Okay.
an overview of it. I've squinted my way through, but and I kind of overviewed her thought process here. But the city has a lot of land out there, a lot of lots that they've taken, and it's got preserved species on it at this point, scrub jays, different animals that are out there. Are do you see the city of Northport taking that and those plots of land and putting that into a like a conservative sort of position, or do you see the city as in keeping those but controlling them?
Well, to me, um, it's it's an important goal if the idea of acquiring this property is to benefit the natural species on these properties. To me, if that's the goal, ultimately these lots should be preserved in their natural state, and I believe that it's something that is important. It's not just for few years, for 5 or 10 years, but they should be preserved basically in perpetuity. Now we are getting more familiarized with how this process works, and there are different purposes for some of these areas that have been acquired. But in my opinion, it's it's certainly a goal to have these areas to actually serve their purpose and provide healthy habitat for wildlife, and just be there in its natural state, the way that they're supposed to. And in addition, we have other areas that are currently vacant, and they are in a basically mold grass state. They look like a soccer field to me. And from an ecological standpoint, that's an that's a wildlife desert pretty much. It has limited function for um, for animals, and there's also a very limited diversity of plants, of course. But another effort should be to improve the resilience of these areas, to consider rewilding, to plant more trees, so our city does not only lose canopy but also to create canopy to offset the net impact of development.
And the the re-nourishing of our environment is an important part of what you guys look at too, correct?
It's an important part, and we have identified already few areas that we would like to bring back to their natural states, and we're just getting started. I believe that there are many opportunities throughout our city
So
to do so.
I'm going to throw you into the hotbed here a little bit with one topic because it's interesting to me that we've heard so much about Warm Mill Springs in the past, and now that we have a division like yours, I'm wondering, is there? I know that some of the feeder springs and different things there have kind of dried up. Is there a look see into that to see if it can be revitalized and brought back and kind of renourished and kind of bring back the old, I guess, to the new?
It's a good question, and not to be avoiding the question, John, but I really am not knowledgeable enough in this topic to give you a good answer. Um, Overall, I look at this as a the way that the aquifer functions is just like your wallet. It's a matter of how much you take out and how much you put in, and it's fairly common sense that if you take out more than you put in, eventually these levels are going to go down, and we may have further issues. But as far as this specific one, I really don't know much about yet.
So do
Um,
you? Do you think because we have this department now,
Hmm.
and I'll ask this in a different way then, because I actually that was a great answer, because people need to realize we're taking out, and we're not putting, the aquifer's only supplying so much. It's not like we can turn on the faucet and replace it. But
That's
at
right.
the same time, um, is that what this department really is going to get into as it grows? Is to start to look at stuff like that?
So this this type of issue is a statewide, if not nationwide, or even a global issue. And for our state, the water management districts are tasked with managing these resources. We as a team, we have the opportunity to advise and provide our take to potentially to commission and our director and our city manager. But I would say our involvement will be more limited. We will not have the ability to make any decisions per se that will directly affect uh, the aquifers, let's say. But in as this is something that the water management districts are tasked to do,
Yeah.
but we will be able to, through regulatory action, through wetland conservation, through maybe some of our guidance, we still should be able to have some impact, and I would say more indirect. And this is one, just for your public, this is one huge benefit of wetlands, for example, and this is one of the reasons why they are protected. Not only they help with flooding, but they also ultimately recharge the aquifers. It's a slow process, but one that's crucial.
And I think as a city overall, we lack, a lot of us lack the understanding of what the aquifer is and does, and how it replenishes. I think that's a whole nother educational piece that there are very few people in our city that truly understand that.
And I do not claim to be one of them, in all fairness, as I overall understand the process, but you probably need quite a bit of expertise in hydrogeology and uh, all that. But overall, it's yeah, There's a lot. Um, it's a unique opportunity for us to educate our community and to relay some of this information to our community, or relate them to the right
Right, sources.
agency.
Mhm.
But it's certainly a fascinating process, and this water, as part of the Floridan aquifer, it has taken a, an immense amount of time for this water to accumulate, and ultimately, as there's more that's being used, the water levels and the pressure certainly can drop, and that would have quite an impact, and it already does. Many areas of Florida are starting to think more and more of these issues as they see the effects.
Sure enough. And so one of the other questions that was out there by Robin was the underbrush that's out there. And I'm also kind of, I want to not just cover the underbrush, but we've got another problem that's coming from uh, outside of America, but it's here now and present, and that's the iguana that's out there, that's doing a lot of damage south of us in the Fort Myers, Lee County region, and
Right.
further south into Miami and into Key West. Do are we paying attention to things like that too, so that we're prepared if it comes this way or when it
We
comes this way?
we certainly, and I believe that we already have some within our city limits, but we certainly need to need to promote invasive species education to our community. As you mentioned, the iguanas, that's one that can have damaging impacts on many other native animals,
Correct.
and the effects can be numerous. So it's something that certainly we would like to promote as part of our education program. Now, with these type of invasive animals, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, they have several programs, and they are working on promoting what are some of the harms for each one of these and what to do if any are encountered. um, I believe that there's also a fantastic um, monitoring and reporting tool to report any sightings. And uh, again, if you want to solve an issue, you need to understand it better. And it seems that right now, yes, some of these are animals such as the iguanas are moving up north, and I foresee our communities dealing with them more in the future.
Well, they definitely tend to take over in mass numbers. When they do get here, and you see one, the next thing you know, you see 200, because they populate pretty quickly,
They are
and they do cause a lot of
absolutely.
damage, not just to buildings and surrounding areas, but you're right. They really put a lot of pressure on the animals that are here naturally, and
Absolutely.
so that is something that you're looking at, something that's on your radar, and something that you're trying to get information out to community about.
It's something that is on our radar, and these are incredibly opportunistic and adaptable and resilient animals. And in many cases, the resources of the responsible agencies are fairly limited. So citizen action would be key.
So on the are there position, you said there's still positions you have to fill, and we were talking about the War Mill Spring side of it. If you could read that quick question from Robin.
What about the archaeologist position within this? So our environmental specialists will also be tasked with the historical archaeological review. N- And let me read the other one. We were supposed to have this position filled, and then it wasn't. So the only position that we have left open is for our urban forester. So this would be under um, our natural resources division. I, Robin, if I may, I am not familiar with any archaeological position. Um, However, I know that we we are working with some we're working with some other agency, and please I apologize, I don't recall the name, but uh, we could consult with them, and then we also have some data to verify whether the site is likely to contain such archaeological resources, but I am not familiar with any specific position, especially for our team.
So if Robin had more questions, and I know she does because she's rocking and rolling today. Thanks, Robin, for
Thank you,
being
Robin.
but if she had more, she can find you on the website and shoot you an email, correct?
Yes, absolutely. And also, if I may, I will write the email in our chat.
Yes.
Natural resources at northportfl.gov. So, any related questions or even unrelated, we will relay to the right party. But please do not hesitate. Reach out to us. We want to hear more about the local issues and find ways to address them when possible.
And you know, the website, we had
Thank
that
you,
up
Rob.
earlier, but really talk about the website so that people understand where to find you and to find your information.
Yeah, the website, we are still reorganizing and adding relevant information to it. So you can locate our web page on our website northportfl.gov. If you hover over building and planning on the top section of your screen, one of the menu choices will say natural resources. If you go there, you will find some contact info and more relevant information about our review process. You will also find out more about upcoming events, and we're planning to add way more information on the webpage as well. Additionally, we did host our public listening tour on February 20th. However, this was during business hours, and we did listen to our citizens suggesting that it would be beneficial to have a session that's during the evening, so working families ideally can join us. Um, what you're showing is actually another event, John. I will mention that as well. But we have a community listening tour evening session planned for March 28th at 6 p.m. at the Morgan Community Family Center here in Northport. So that's an event where we would love to meet you in person, tell you a bit more about the division, and hear more about some of the issues that you may have on your mind. So I wanted to bring that up, and also what you're showing on your screen. That's a training event where one of our team members, Liz Blessing, our environmental planner, she will partner with IFAS
Yep.
to conduct a green industries best management practice session. So this is geared more towards professionals, um, and this course is mandatory for them. But now we are actually going to start teaching this course within our city limits on a regular basis. And the date is, as your listeners and viewers can see, March 5th.
March
That's
5th.
a Tuesday at 8:30 a.m.
And the beauty of you being able to read and me not being able to read today, I can't wait to get home and get my contact back in. So I have one eye for distance and one eye for reading, and the eye for reading is completely gone. So you've done a great service for helping me with that, and I really
Thank
do
you.
appreciate that. We've got about 6 minutes left until the end of the show, and I promised you that it would go pretty quickly. Did you feel like it's gone quick?
You're right. I cannot believe that it's been almost an hour.
Yeah. So it doesn't take too long, but you know, with only being here a few weeks, can you tell us how you feel like the city has embraced not just you and your crew, but the department itself?
To tell you the truth, on a personal level, that was my that was my biggest fear. How will things turn out with starting a new position at a new division? Um, and I come from Sarasota County. I was an environmental supervisor there, and I was not sure if this will be um, a good change or not, but I decided to go for it, to and just to embrace this new opportunity. And I was pleasantly surprised by how accommodating and supportive um, e- every everybody, and I mean again everybody here within the city has been to me and my team, from city management to all the way to uh, clerks here within the development services. We have received nothing but support, and I have been so thankful and grateful for the community for embracing us and giving us a chance to do what we want to do. And so far, it has been a wonderful experience. I know that there will be challenges along the way, and things may not happen as quickly as some citizens would like them to happen, but it's going to be an adventure. And so far, I've had nothing but good things to say about the community.
And the community itself, because we're so young, as a community, we still outpopulate a lot of the cities around us, believe it or not. We just do it over massive amounts of miles. um, but we have a lot of growth that's going to happen our way, and we know it's coming. We're not going to stop it, we're not going to slow it down. um, but we can find a way to work together to make our community stronger and more environmentally safe, can't we?
I think so, and that's the beauty with this field, that each one of us has an impact. So we are all impacting the environment almost with any action that we take. So we uh, are intimidated by the scale of the some of these problems. Naturally, that's understandable. But the beauty is that each one of us, through our actions, can make a positive change for our community. So, just a side story. A few weeks ago, I was walking with my daughter, who's 7, and we were walking around a park, and she immediately noticed some plastic trash on the ground, and before I even said anything, she picked it up, and actually she found a recycling bin and disposed of it properly. And actually, that's something that I never really stressed or instilled in her, maybe just a little, but she learned it through school.
Right.
And I she learned it at her school, and I could not believe it. Um, but yeah, I think the conclusion here is that we can all make a difference. We can be a bit more mindful with how much we use, how much we consume. We can recycle properly. We can plant Florida native plants, ideally Southwest Florida native plants in our backyards. Uh, be a bit kinder to each other. Be a stewards to the community. If we see something that does not seem right, call or give us a call. And yeah, and just educate our new citizens. um, and I think there's so much that can be done, and each of these actions matters. I know it's a bit of a cliche there, but I think that it really does. And John, hopefully I didn't lose you.
Sorry
Okay,
about that.
there you are.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry
I
if I
had I
if I bored you to death.
Nope, you did great, but I had one
Just
computer
kidding.
die on me, and I had you live on the other, so I had to jump on my tablet real quick. But I
I'm glad that you made it work.
I did. I'm multitasking like crazy right now, being on vacation. So I jumped from one computer to the next, and I've done it blind today. So that's the beauty in all this. But I, most times my show is not this chaotic. I'm in the luxury of my truck or the luxury of my home, one of the two. But today I'm at my granddaughter's up in Cuyahoga Falls, and we're just making it work. And I love the fact that
That's
you took
special.
time out to be part of the show. And really, I can't wait to have you back in a few weeks, a month or so, and give us some really cool insight on what you guys have done as a team, and what you now feel like is your grasp of the city.
I will gladly join you, and we're taking things here a day at a time, a week at a time, and I'm excited myself. And yeah, thanks so much for giving me this platform.
Not a
Great
problem.
opportunity.
And I'm so super excited about having you on board. And welcome to Northport. And tell your team welcome to Northport. Look forward to doing some more special things. And I may actually come over and film your event that you have coming up, so we can get more push out there to the community.
I appreciate it. Again, March 28th will be the evening session, community listening tour. And thank you one more time, and thank you all for the kind words. I did see a few of the comments. I We appreciate the support, and
Yep.
thanks for having our backs.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Stefan, thank you so much for being part of the show. Everybody out there in the listening world, thank you so much. This is John Rawlings with WKDW Radio Real Talk. Join us next week. We're ready to rock and roll, and we're going to have a good time. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Thanks again. Bye bye.